Hello there, Romans here and welcome to my next music review. Today it's going to be Fall Out Boy, Mania.
Music review. Music review.
Fall Out Boy is a very popular group which I've known for quite some time, but honestly I've never really listened to their music before. Therefore I am not going to draw any comparisons with their previous works, and I'm gonna take this record as a sort of a starting point for me. I've heard a new record 5 times as of now, so let's look at the individual songs. Even upon the first listening of the record, you can immediately recognize the huge and thick production that this record has. Majority of the songs remind me of the bands like Imagine Dragons, 21 Pilots or 30 Seconds to Mars in the last couple of years. Generally this is a kind of like pop music with a lot of electronics and a lot of other genres combining, so it kind of gives the whole record very world music feeling at times. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. So let's look at individual songs. I really like the first 2 songs, Stay Frosty, Royal Milk Tea and The Last of the Real Ones. The first track has almost industrial feeling and it's more rock than pop, being the only song on the record. These 2 songs kind of remind me of the last record from Asking Alexandria that came out, I think, something like 2 months ago. Of course, it's a much softer version, but it has that very modern pop rock, electronic rock kind of feeling. I also must say that the singer's voice is just amazing. He's a really great singer. I've actually checked him live. I wanted to check out if he's really that good, and he really is. He's a great singer live, so what you hear on the record is really how he's capable of singing, and it's really amazing. The third track, Hold Me Tight or Don't, is a song that immediately reminded me of the song Shape of You from Ed Sheeran. The next song, Wilson, Expensive Mistakes, kind of shows me like the sound most of the bands try to have now. I guess that most of the groups leaning towards that pop direction try to sound something like this. The 5th track, Church, is a very cool song. I really like the lyrics because it's again a very cliche theme of a confession of love for a girl, but it's made in a very interesting and, for me, never heard before kind of metaphors and symbolism. Like if you were a church, I would get on my knees. It's pretty interesting, and this is a song where production really works very well for the song because it has at moments like those gospel chorus that you can hear in the church, and they come at when they came in a song, it made me very surprised. I was like, wow, that's a cool thing. It's something I've never heard before really in such a style of a music. I also like the church bells that you can hear. Generally it's a song that I would say reminds me of Katy Perry, especially her era before Prism, but it's got, this chorus just made the song very refreshing. The next track, Heaven's Gate, has that almost R&B vibe. And for example, the song Sunshine Riptide combines some reggae influences, and this is why the whole record has that sort of a world music feeling. Champion is a track that kind of reminds me of Imagine Dragons, probably the most from the whole album. Then the track Young and Menace is a very interesting song. It's another pop track, but with a very pitch-shifting rock chorus. Now this is probably a song that they will not really play live, or if they do, it's going to be a very, very different song. But it's got very interesting chorus because you've got like a certain melody that he sings, but it's pitch shifted, like 2 octaves up or an octave lower. It's got a very artificial feeling, but it actually works. It makes the song sound different. The last track is called Bishop's Knife Trick, and it's a song that kind of reminds me of a Maroon 5 band, but with a more manly vocals. Generally, I think that this is a very pleasant album to listen to, but the thick and huge production and the very modern production of the album is both a good and a bad thing about the record. Now, the very bad thing, or it's kind of subjective if it's a bad or not, but the whole record really suffers from overcompression. There's no dynamics on the record whatsoever. This is exactly the problem I had with the Asking Alexandria that I made a review for. And apart from the voice, which is slightly more upfront, as in most of pop music, it seems that everything is at the same level and it gives it very digital and very cold feeling. The whole production actually makes the album interesting to listen to because there are so many sonic things and details you can find out. But when you take an average song and really give it a thick and a big production, suddenly an average song can transform into an epic song. And once you listen to the album like for the 3 or 4 times, that over-impression from the production may go away, and suddenly you will realize that certain songs are really average. And this is the main problem with the record, that apart from a few songs, this is not really a record that will stay in your mind for a long time. And that's the problem, because unless you're a real die-hard fan of Fall Out Boy, this is a record you are going to forget about pretty soon. Another thing that is, for me, bad about this production is that it doesn't make them sound different from any other bands. Apart from the voice, of course, they sound like pretty much every group playing this kind of pop music. And another problem is that Fall Out Boy is essentially a band, meaning that there are people playing an actual instrument. And equally to Imagine Dragons, all of these instruments seem to be lost in the mix, seem to be just somewhere in the background, and there's a much bigger focus on electronics, on the big keyboard sounds, and it just really takes away that impression of listening to a band. When it comes to the final score, the main question I'm gonna ask myself is this a record I enjoyed listening to? The answer is yes. Is this a record I will want to get back to and listen to it again in a year or in 2 years? I'm not sure. So I've been really thinking about the score, and I decided to give this record 7 points out of 10. I think that if you are a Fall Out Boy fan, without knowing their previous records, I think that you will like this one. If you like pop music that's not overly complicated and kind of easy on your ears, you will probably like this record. Mania in Slovak means Mania, so there's not really much of a change. I hope you liked this review. If you did,
don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching.
okay, you can find the links to Instagram and Facebook in the comment section below.
Oh my god.
And if you heard this record already, or if you agree or disagree with me, whatever, you can write in the comment section below. If you have heard previous records from Fall Out Boy, you can give me your tips. Which records should I listen to next? And if there are any bloopers at the end, well, enjoy them. And thanks for watching. And majority of the song remind... Okay. The song sounds outstanding. I will not give you a kiss. When it comes to the production,